Hello, comrades, and welcome back to Ushanka show. So today we're finally gonna start our conversation about music in the Soviet Union. I got a lot of requests to tell about music during that time, and it's a very complicated topic, but I'll try my best to share my memories and share some information that I learned preparing for this video. First of all, I need to remind you that I was born in 1971, so pretty much till the end of 70's, I really didn't have any interest in music, being a little kid. And my first memories, what I recall, like the first musician that I remembered was actually a Ukrainian band. It was called Trio Marenich, and they became mega popular in 1978. And not only in Ukraine, actually all over Soviet Union. There was a guy and two ladies. So there was a guy, his wife, and his sister-in-law. And they performed only Ukrainian songs, singing in Ukrainian. And they were just singing so beautifully. And one of their songs, Nese Gala Vodu, this is I found it on YouTube. And it just brought all those memories back. I mean, they were so popular. You could hear the songs on the radio, and people who had tape recorders, they were playing it on tapes. So I remember that song really well, and even being a little kid, so I'm like 78 years old, the whole topic is kind of this sad, hopeless love for this lady named Gala. But suddenly, and I remember that there was started rumors going around that they wanted to go to Canada for concert, or they went to Canada and they tried to ask for political asylum. I don't remember the details, but that was this Marenich, Traders, Canada, and they disappeared. They were mega popular. They actually had a couple albums, LPs, long plays out. And suddenly they just disappeared. You couldn't hear it on the radio anymore. No TV. They just at once instantly disappeared. That's the power of the Soviet government. But thanks to the modern technologies and internet, what I found out that they refused to obey the orders of the Ministry of Culture. So Soviet Union had the Ministry of Culture, Ministerstvo Kultury. So of the Soviet Union, of course, every republic had their own Ministry of Culture. And this Ministry of Culture was, the tool to promote music and at the same time to provide the control over content. So they had specific requirements. For example, if you want to perform like a singer or band, you were required to use songs created from the union of people. There's Союз композиторов, and I'm not sure how you say it on English. So the people who write music, so music writers. So there was the union of music writers, and then there was a union of writers, so who write the text, the words. So you were required actually to use 80% of your songs should be from them. And also another requirement was that you should have at least a quarter of your songs somewhat related to Soviet topics, whatever, something about a good song about, successes in the Soviet life and whatever. And Marenich, they refused. They said, we're not gonna sing, we just want to sing our own songs, or Ukrainian people song, they call it, Народные песни. We won't sing any songs about Soviet Union. They refused to perform in stadiums. They only wanted to do indoors. And I guess they got caught singing, because they were from Western Ukraine, and they were performing in some concert songs from way back from Ukrainian army. They called UPA, Ukrainian guerrilla army, so the army that fought Germans and Soviets. And I guess they performed those at some concerts, and so they got in trouble and they completely disappeared for years. And I just found out I guess they started singing again, but as I said, that was the classic example how much Soviet government had a control over like music, because that trio was so popular, and like my best memories of my childhood, I almost had tear in my eye when I started listening on YouTube, like, oh my God, I remember that song, and I remember my emotions, like I became a little kid again listening to them. And at about the same time, because that happened when we still lived in an old small apartment, so that's end of 70s, early 80s. It was a singer, very famous, Afrik Simon, I believe was his name. And he had the song, he was singing on Spanish, so that's a foreign singer. And I was too lazy to Google him, but, you know, so I was maybe, about 9-10 years old, so I wasn't really kind of, you know, into girls yet. But since I was hanging out with the older boys, kind of you learn from them different things. You know, they kind of share their, you know, successes with the girls or whatever. So the funny thing about that song, and we'll play a short piece of it, he sings in Spanish, but it sounds like "Na тебе соси, Maria," which you translate to Russian like, "Here you go, suck it, Maria." And at that time I kind of overheard older kids saying there's sometimes girls perform this weird thing on the boys, you know, they suck on their penis, and, you know, I couldn't understand what it's all about. But then I remember I walked by our building to go play in the playground, and I hear this song out of the window, so somebody was playing it really loudly in their apartment, and I hear this, "Na тебе соси, Maria," and I remember I was just horrified. How can you play this loud? It's so embarrassing. So that's what my first memories of childhood of the music in Soviet Union. So as I mentioned, the Ministerstvo Kultury, the Ministry of Culture, had a total control over the music, and when the first bands appeared in 1960s, they had this interesting term called Vocal Instrumental Ensemble. So it's like a vocal and instrument ensemble. So I guess ensemble is like a word from assemble, so you got a group of people. Technically they could be called, you know, like a rock band, but oh my goodness, it was like you can't ever call yourself rock band, because rock band was like it's the product of decaying Western culture. So they had to come up with different name for such bands. So they come up with this Vocal Instrumental Ensemble, Vocal Instrumental Assembly, or VIA. So the first bands were like middle 60s. The most famous of them were поющие гитары, so singing guitars, and веселые ребята, it's like jolly boys or happy boys. And there were more of those, but I said there was a lot of limitations, so even if you play pop music or rock music, you can't be called pop music, you know, you just VIA no matter what you play. And of course, as I already mentioned, they had requirements, what kind of songs they have to sing. Their songs had to be approved before they can sing in public. And as I mentioned already, 80% should be created by songs from the unions of writers, songwriters, and union of writers. And there should be some songs that would be dedicated to Soviet Union or successful life in Soviet Union. And there's several songs that we're gonna show you, like little short moments, and then I'll put a bunch of links below this video. So there'll be song "Слышишь, время гудит", BAM, which BAM was a Baikalo-Amurskaya magistrale, which they were building this extra long railroad between Lake Baikal and Amur River. It was a huge project in the 70s. So there was a song about how we work hard building this railroad.
Baikalo-Amurskaya магистраль. Солнце в небе светит мудро, молодеет древний край. От Байкала до Амура мы проложим магистраль. Встретим зябкие рассветы, встретим долгую бурду, биографию планеты пишем мы свою строку. Слышишь, время гудит, на просторах крутых, небольшая тайга покоряется нам. Слышишь, время гудит, на просторах крутых, это колокол наших сердец молодых. Слышишь, время гудит, на просторах крутых, небольшая тайга покоряется нам. Слышишь, время гудит, на просторах крутых, это колокол наших сердец молодых. Будет нам порою трудно, но земле любимой в дар лягут рельсы, будто струны.
Another song was «Не расстанусь с комсомолом», «Буду вечно молодым», «I will never say goodbye to Komsomol», which was one of the youth communist organization, and I will stay forever young.
Я в мир удивительный этот пришел, отваге и правде учиться. Единственный друг, дорогой комсомол, ты можешь на нас положиться. Мы пройдем сквозь шторм и дым, станет небо голубым. Не расстанусь с комсомолом, буду вечно молодым.
And of course, the song we already mentioned before, the Lenin is so young and forever young. So those songs, some of them were actually popular because the melody was good, although we didn't care much about words. But it was also many songs they just had to write just to comply with the requirement of the Ministry of Culture. And also it was interesting, there were several music writers that took pretty much like monopoly over creating songs, like this lady, last name Pakhmutova, and the songwriter Dabran Ramov. It was a lot of songs that they created, and every singer was performing, and I remember every time there's a different singer, but they probably perform, hey, music by Pakhmutova and words by Dabran Ramov. So, and also other bands I can mention, VIAs, and I said they could be folk music or disco music. So there was Krasные Маки, Red Poppies, kind of sounds silly. Hello Song, Здравствуй Песня. There was some kind of like a rock music, Ariel and Flowers and Цветы. So that's interesting, kind of was a movement, that VIA music, because they had different styles of music, but they couldn't be called, like it's a heavy metal or rock music or pop music. It's always VIA, and they just played different styles. And also from those early days, I recall, and she became, I think, the most famous, most popular singer of all the times in Soviet Union. It's Alla Pugacheva. She started as a back singer for VIA, Veselые Ребята, Happy Boys. And then she kind of became like a main singer. And in 1975, she performed a song Arлекино, which personally I didn't like much, but it became mega popular. They had a single, the LP at that time. So one single song LP, they sold 14 million copies. After that, she had a lot of other different songs, and I'll put links below. And once you start watching one song by Alla Pugacheva, YouTube is very smart about it. He will give you suggestions for more songs. I like some of her later songs, but at that time in early 80s, I wasn't big fan of hers. Another song I remember was «Всё могут короли», Kings Can Do Everything. That was a pretty funny song. And then in 1983, I think it was the most popular song, «Миллион алых роз», a million of like Red Roses. The problem with that song, it was actually copied from another song. So the songwriter, Paulus, he was a famous Soviet songwriter, and actually he's originally, I think, from Latvia. He copied this song from Iranian lady. That song was performed like in 1976, and then there is actually a video on YouTube comparing. So they took it just and put the Russian words on it, and that song became it was playing everywhere. It's a good catchy motif, and I believe that song actually became popular also beyond the USSR, especially it was super popular in Japan, and I think there's also a Japanese singer that performs the same song but in Japanese. So Alla Pugacheva definitely, she had an extra long career, she had many husbands. She was born in 1949, so she's 1 year younger than my mom. So my mother just turned 70, and right now she's married to a guy who's younger than me. I was born in 1971. Her current husband, Alla Pugacheva's husband, was born in 1976. So he is 5 years younger than me, and he married a woman who's 1 year younger than my mom. So the difference in age is like close to 30 years. And she had another young husband before that, so she kind of became rich and spoiled. So yeah, you can look her up on YouTube. But the Alla Pugacheva, I would say, definitely was a #1 popular, like a pop singer, even pop music. There was other singers that play more classical stuff, but for the pop music, Alla Pugacheva, I think she was the most popular, most famous Soviet singer. Around the same time, there was also a male performer, Valery Leontiev. He was a very popular guy, singer, also pop music. He was, now I'm adult, so I'm looking like, I didn't look it up, but maybe he was gay. Just the way he liked the costume, her hair, he looked really different. Like usually people performing in Soviet Union, singers, they also wear suit, or bow ties, so they look like, opera singers. Not Valery Leontiev. He always wore some bright, shiny clothes, he was a performer, and he had a couple like really dynamic songs like Zeleный Svet, Green Light, and another one like Gipodynamiya. So he does a lot of dancing and movement, kind of more like fast disco music. And he had a long career as well, and he was popular also for a long, long time. So there's kind of people that I'm thinking right now, to begin my story about Soviet music. And of course, if you wanted to buy LP, there was only company who would make them was a Melodia, and it was probably the biggest music company in the world since it was the only company in the Soviet Union. And of course, another thing, we also had a lot of classical music. We already talked about it, and also so-called people choruses. So there was groups performing like songs that came out from the people, who sung them for hundreds of years, and also a famous ensemble of Red Army. So there was a bunch of military guys singing songs with their powerful voices. And it was interesting, there was a different songs that played on the radio and TV versus what people would be listening at home, and completely different songs that people would play on guitars. But we'll cover that in our next video. We'll talk a little bit more about songs that rarely made to TV or radio, but they were mega popular among the people. But that will be in our second video about music in Soviet Union. Thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to like my videos, share with your friends, share on social media, and of course, if you can, please support my channel. YouTube continues to block monetization for whatever reason. I sent requests and I didn't get any good answer why they're doing it. But anyways, thank you for supporting my show, and I'll talk to you later. Hello, comrades, and welcome back to the Ushanka show. Today we're gonna continue talking about Soviet music, and we're covering right now early 80s. Several viewers asked question, what about like Viktor Tsoi and his rock band Kino and some other performers. Those guys were late 80s after Comrade Gorbachev became a president of Soviet Union and Perestroika started. Then we had the explosion of different music styles, and a bunch of new performers showed up, including Kino, Laskava Mai, and others. So that's late 80s. We're kind of talking right now about more still like real Soviet Union under Brezhnev, under strict supervision of Communist Party. So that's the performance I want to cover right now. And first of all, I would like to apologize. I'm not exactly the best guy to tell you stories about Soviet music, because we never were like deep into music, my family. As I mentioned, my both parents came out of the country. They grew up in the villages, and, you know, in the villages people usually sing songs themselves. They, you know, don't really like being in the music and collecting long plays or tapes. So my family wasn't really like into the music big time. We used to have this Soviet-made cassette player called Vesna 202, which is spring. That's Vesna means. It's a really basic mono, didn't have a stereo sound. So in the early 80s, I remember that little cassette player. It had a pretty bad quality of sound, and my mom used it to record me when I was little. And then they had tapes with music, so a lot of the music I remember, it's the tapes that they had. And then later the tape cassette player went bad, started chewing up on tapes and ripping film, so we quit using it. And like real stereo system I got in 88, when I finished high school, and my parents gave me as a present, like in advance, that I get admitted to Kyiv Polytechnic Institute as a present. Like they were so sure I'm gonna get admitted, so as a present of becoming a student, they purchased me this big Radiotechnica stereo system. I think we call them combines. It has an LP player on the top, and then it had a big FM AM tuner, and then a cassette player. So that was really cool. So as I said it one more time, I apologize. I'm not the best person to talk about music, and a lot of performers, I actually don't know much about them, and I had to search quite a bit to get you this information, which I think will be interesting to learn about several singers. And other thing, a little detail I want you to keep in mind. In Soviet Union, you couldn't be a singer without a degree, proper degree. So you have to have some kind of musical degree. You have to go to college or university. They have different names. Some of them called, I'm not sure if Philharmonia was the place that you study, but you had to get admitted to some kind of university and get a music degree. There was vocal, so you become a singer. You can be like a guy who can't remember the word. The one that manages the orchestra, show them how to play. So you had to have some kind of musical degree to be a professional singer, to get a career in singing in Soviet Union. You can't just I have a beautiful voice, so I'm gonna start singing songs, and, you become famous. Like, I think Justin Bieber just became famous by singing on YouTube, and now he's a megastar. This wouldn't happen in Soviet Union. You must be professional singer with a degree. Otherwise, it doesn't matter if you have a great voice or not. So a lot of the singers they started performing, and then they had to go to college if they decided, okay, this is the way I want to go. I want to just sing for a living. So now we're going to cover a couple of singers again. This is late 70s, early 80s. And today we'll talk about, they also were extremely popular, but there was a different kind of music. In my first video, we talk about more like pop music. So Alla Pugacheva, Leontiev, they were like pop music, really popular, had a beat to it. Now we'll talk about more like classic singing in Soviet Union. Not classical music, but these singers cover different areas. They sing patriotic songs about Soviet Union. Then they sing also so-called people songs, so those songs that originally came up out of, someone made that song 50 years ago, 100 years ago, and people were singing them at weddings or other celebrations, and then it made it to be performed. So it's so-called Народная песня, the people songs. So first person I would like to talk to will be Lyudmila Zykina. Lyudmila Zykina, I remember her because they play her songs all the time on the radio. I don't think anyone would keep her tapes, record her for the tapes, but that was a song that older people liked a lot. She had amazing voice. There's a specific term what kind of voice she had, but her voice was really good, and I just remember on the radio, these two songs, Течет река Волга, and another one, her popular song was Оренбургский путевой платок. So the first one is about Volga River, and the second one about this famous, it's like thing you put over your head, that some people call babushka, but it's not. So it's Platok, Оренбургский. Orenburg is a town in Russia which is famous for making those. Platki. So her songs, that was very popular, but as I said, they mostly were played on radio or on TV. I don't think people were chasing her records and played it every day. So she was born, Lyudmila Zykina was born in 1929, and she passed away in 2009 when she was 80. It's a classical story of the Soviet Union. She was from the workers' family, and as I said, she had amazing voice. So slowly but surely, after getting degrees, she started becoming more and more popular, and she has a lot of awards. Like, she has total of 16 medals, different kinds of medals. So you see, in Soviet Union, your achievement as a singer is not about the millions of, compact disc or LPs you sell or amount of money you make. It's about the awards, government awards, and different other. There was also some like cash awards called Premia. So Lyudmila Zykina, as I said, she became the Hero of Socialist Labor in 1987. So this is the highest award that you can get in Soviet Union if you're a civilian person. So you can be a hero of the Soviet Union. That's usually dedicated to military personnel or somebody who does super heroic things like, saves thousands of kids or something like that. So something really, usually it goes to the military. And the Hero of Socialist Labor, if you do some amazing achievements in the labor part, like you beat some record, stuff like that. So of course, she was a singer and she was very popular, so she got that award. Plus another 16 medals, including Orden Lenina, the Lenin Award, which also like second highest award you can get in Soviet Union. She got that one twice. She also became, there's another, like they give you different names, titles, there you go. They give you different titles based on your achievement. So for example, she became Народный артист Советского Союза. So that means she became a people's artist of the Soviet Union in 1973. So this is your highest achievement as an artist. You get the title of Народный артист Советского Союза, people's artist of the Soviet Union. And before that, you need to be заслуженный артист, so like senior artist or something of Soviet Union. And 5 years later, if you're still like moving strong and perform great, then you can become a people's artist. So this silly awards that people got, but there was a adding to her list, like now the Lyudmila Zykina gonna perform, and she's the people's artist of the Soviet Union. It's the highest achievement that you can do in the USSR. She also had people's artist of Azerbaijan, people's artist of Uzbekistan, and people's artist of Udmurtia. It's one of the autonomous republics of Russia. So she looks like she was the most awarded singer ever. And I said, her songs just were popular among older people and sounds like among the government. And because she got Russian Federation cash awards in 1983, and the highest award, like cash award in Soviet Union, is called Leninskaya Premia, the Lenin Cash Award in 1970. And I believe that one is 10,000 rubles, which is huge amount of money. like average person will be making close to maybe 2,000 rubles a year, and you get 10,000, so it's a 5-year bonus of regular pay. But she being a, popular person in entertainment industry would say that she kind of went through thin, and she had 4 husbands, so that's not really kind of communist idea of changing husbands often, but she was marrying and divorcing quite often, so she went through 4 husbands. So this is Lyudmila Zykina and her famous songs that I remember. Like, you tell me Zykina and I'll just automatically can tell you even so many years later that Течет река Волга, Оренбургский пуховый платок, that's the songs I remember her for. Well, I hope you enjoyed these videos about Soviet music, and we decided we're not gonna post actual music in my videos for the copyright reasons. Although some old songs may be okay, but YouTube can change their algorithm or rules at any moment, and I don't want to have my videos blocked due to the copyright issues. So we posted the links. So if you're curious to listen to the singers I mentioned, just check the comments below or description of the video. There'll be links to the music, and you can enjoy it. Okay, we'll talk to you later, and please don't forget to click like under this video, share with your friends, share on the social media, and we'll talk to you later. Hello, comrades, and welcome back to the Ushanka show. Today we're gonna continue talking about Soviet music. And we're covering right now early 80s. Another female singer that about the same period was mega popular, Valentina Tolkunova. She was born in 1946 and she passed away in 2010. Again, she became заслуженная артистка of Russia. So that's that first level of being like really advanced artist in 1979. As I said, like служить, it's to serve. So like you well-served artist of Russia. And then she became People's Artist of Russia in 1987. So that's kind of late during the Gorbachev regime. She finished Moscow State Institute of Culture. So as I said, if you want to be a professional singer in Soviet Union, you gotta have a degree in some kind of singing, so vocal department or some other one. So she finished Moscow State University of Culture. In 44 years of her career, she performed around 800 different songs. I remember she had really nice voice, and her famous songs will be Серебряные свадьбы, Silver Weddings. And I believe, it's like when you married for so long, when you celebrate the different anniversaries for how long you married, they have a different name. So there's a silver wedding and then gold wedding. I think golden wedding is when you married for 50 years. I remember her song really well. Поговори со мной, мама, talk to me, mom. That was a hit from 1973, but that was played all the time in early 80s, late 70s. Another song, Я не могу иначе, I Can Do Different Way. And of course, what I will never forget is she provided singing for our kids TV show that was played every night for 15 minutes. Спокойной ночи, малыши, Good Night Kids, Спят усталые игрушки. It was her singing that song. And yeah, that song always brings good memories because I was excited as I finally could see some cartoons after a long day in school. So that's Valentina Tolkunova, another really famous, that kind of not a pop music style singer. And she had really strong vocal, like I mentioned in my previous video, Alla Pugacheva. I don't think she had a good voice ever. She just knew how to manipulate, how to sing, but like quality of her voice was, my personal opinion, was really poor. These ladies, Valentina Tolkunova and Lyudmila Zykina, that's the real deal. And it's, it's nothing, no computer treatment. No voice manipulation, just the real, strong, beautiful voices. Moving on, several viewers asked me, what about Anna German? And I honestly almost forgot about her, though I remember her song, so thank you for reminding. Anna German had a really interesting history, and unfortunately a really short one. She was born in 1936 in Uzbekistan, and she passed away too early in 1982. There was a big tragedy in Soviet Union because she was a mega popular singer. So you can notice her name is definitely doesn't sound Russian. Anna, maybe not. That name wasn't really popular among Russian people, Soviet people. Anna, I mean, it was okay, but German, it definitely tells you something wrong. Like, it's not Russian last name. So what I found out, her parents actually were Mennonites, and they moved into Russia, like during the Tsar regime, and so they lived like usually along Volga River. And then, of course, when Stalin came to power, he didn't like all these German people, so he shipped them way out to Uzbekistan and other faraway Eastern republics. So she was born to a family of speaking this, not even German, but you know, that language that Amish people speak. So she was a multi-language, and as I mentioned again, when I started researching her, that's the first time I saw her, like, her videos and saw her face. Like, I never knew how she looked like. I remember her songs that I heard on radio or on my parents' cassette player. I never saw anything like her pictures. So for me, I was like, wow, this is Anna German. You know, 2018, I finally see a person that I listened in 1980. So it's kind of sad, but her voice was amazing, and she really could put like emotions in her song, especially like one of my favorite song of hers is "Когда цвели сады," when the gardens, orchards were blossoming, and she really there's a part of this song, you know, it sings about happy relations, happy love, and we're getting married. There's another girl showed up. She was pretty and aggressive, and she took away my fiance. So when she sings that part, красивая, смелая дорогу перешла, the pretty one and the brave one crossed my way, she really puts that mood into it. Like, you feel it, like she, you know, just like she really despises that person, hates her. So that was really good. And another song, it was written by a famous songwriter and music writer Pakhmutova and Dobronravov, Nadezhda. That song from 1971, and I remember that song being played on radio over and over again in 80s. Really great song. So yeah, her voice was really doing it. Plus, I said she really could put her emotions into each song. Unfortunately, she had a horrible car accident in Italy in 1967, and I guess it's affected her health. Like, she got ejected through the windshield, was in coma for a long time, recovered, but after that her health kind of was like going downhill, and she wasn't feeling really well. In 1982, I mean, she was not even 50 years old, she passed away, unfortunately. But yeah, she was very popular in Soviet Union, and I said she passed away in 1982, so I remember everyone was very sad. Great and unusual singer, because she wasn't like Russian or Ukrainian, she actually was somewhat German. So this is Anna German, a great singer, and her amazing song Nadezhda, which means hope, or Когда цвели сады, when orchards were blossoming. And one more I remember, it's Gori Gori Moya Zvezda, keep on shining my star. And we'll put links below this video so you can enjoy it too. From Ukrainian performers, I would like to mention Safia Rotaru. She was born in 1947 in Ukraine, but she was Moldovan by nationality. And she was the most famous singer in Ukraine, and then she became super popular all over Soviet Union for the reason because She could sing freely in Ukrainian and Russian and Moldovan and a bunch of other languages. She was born in 1947, and in school she started performing in the chorus, choir, in school, and at the same time she also performed in the church choir. And she got in trouble in school, so they almost kicked her out of Young Pioneers for doing religious stuff in the church, which is, she just enjoyed singing, so whatever she could, she would perform, but she almost got herself in trouble. Mega popular, great songs in Ukrainian language, great songs in Russian. She was playing along with the government, so she had several so-called patriotic songs that was quite popular, but if you want to be successful in Soviet Union, you had to have at least 25% of your song have something patriotic in it. And a funny thing about Safia Rotaru, and there's actually jokes going around, that she was the first person that performed rap-style song. And I'm not sure if it's true or not, but in 1978, at least the very first person in Soviet Union, she did recitative. This is the official word for rap. So when you, instead of singing, you talking it, in this kind of chop style. Her song Rodina Moya, My Motherland, from 1978, she started rapping in that tone, and it was really cool. This is Safia Rotaru for you, and she became one of the most financially successful performer in Soviet Union, and after the Soviet Union, she actually made millions in dollars. So she was smart with money, and she's basically 71 years old, and she still manages to look good. And she got awards. She became the People's Artist of Soviet Union in 1988 and the People's Artist of Ukraine in 1976. So great performer. She had amazing Ukrainian songs, and she was also singing with the Ukrainian VIA, Vocal Instrumental Ensemble, Chervona Ruta. Leader of that band became her husband. She had a great history, great singer, and she was, I think, the best Ukrainian performer ever. Well, I hope you enjoyed these videos about Soviet music, and we decided we're not gonna post actual music in my videos for the copyright reasons. Although some old songs may be okay, but YouTube can change their algorithm or rules at any moment, and I don't want to have my videos blocked due to the copyright issues. So we posted the links. So if you're curious to listen to the singers I mentioned, just check the comments below or description of the video. There'll be links to the music, and you can enjoy it. Okay, we'll talk to you later, and please don't forget to click like under this video, share with your friends, share on the social media, and we'll talk to you later. Hello, comrades, and welcome back to the Ushanka show. Today we're gonna continue talking about Soviet music, and we're covering right now early 80s. And the last female singer that I would like to talk to, and she's also extremely unusual history, is Edita Piecha. She was born in 1937, and she was born in France. A very interesting history about her. Then she moved to Poland in 1946. So after World War II was over, she went to Poland. Her family moved to Poland. And in 1955, she was sent from Poland to study in Soviet Union. And then she got a degree, some kind of musical degree. Her first song was called Red Bus. It was in Polish, and that's how she became popular. Then she joined VIA band Druzhba, Friendship, in 1956. So some people think this was the very first VIA, the very first music band in Soviet Union, this Druzhba band, which was organized in 1956. And you can, of course, once again, you can't just say, oh, we're going to make a band. You need to be attached to some kind of musical facility in your town So it'll be some kind of music club or Dom Kulture, the House of Culture. So there were special places where they perform and need to be a member of that place. You can't just organize a band on your own. So she was a singer for that band in 1956, and was really cool about her that she always had a really strong accent. So her songs in Russian sounds different. And she got this really cool French look, like she's extremely pretty woman. The funny thing that in 1959, that band was, outlawed and dismantled because of the propaganda of jazz, and also because the lead singer was making Russian language sound bad because she had accent. So that's kind of interesting. So she got in trouble for коверкание русского языка, so for messing up Russian language. And the other members of band, they got in trouble because they were copycats of American lifestyle, which we had a word styliagi. So you wear these fancy shoes, flashy clothes, like copying American performers, and that was called styliagi. It was this kind of underground movement in big cities. Of course, you couldn't do it in the village, but in Moscow, maybe in Kiev, Leningrad, and people could get in trouble for that. So for promoting jazz and copycat American lifestyle, this band got in trouble. And somehow the band leader, Alexander Bronevitsky, who was also Edita Piacha's husband, he managed, through some connection, save the band. So VIA Druzhba, that was the very first Soviet musical band. She went through 3 husbands. She's still alive, still performs. She got really unusual voice, like you could never confuse her for anybody else. Her famous songs were Tik Tak, Никогда, which means never, and Возможно, possible. Those were great songs. And I had some good jokes about, because her name, Edita Piecha, it sounds like Edity, go to, and that's when we want to say somebody F you, we say Edity, go to dick, if you translate it. So that was a good joke about Edita Piecha и Edita na dick, but it's not gonna work really well translating. But anyways, Edita Piecha, another great Soviet singer with international roots, and she could perform in Polish, in France, in French language, in German language, in Russian, so she really good in that. And now let's talk about dudes. There's 2 guys that I think right away when I think about Soviet estrada, Soviet music. First one is Iosif Kabzon. He was born in 1937, and he is pretty much the standard Soviet government favorite, government propaganda singer. He had a lot of songs that he sings, patriotic songs, like he was playing along really well. And he became a People's Artist of Soviet Union in 1987, despite the fact that he was born into a Jewish family from Ukraine. And, usually in Ukraine especially, I heard that it was hard to get through and get into college if you were Jewish nationality. They had kind of like limits how many Jewish people were allowed to be admitted to college every year. He went into singing through the army service. And that's kind of what they have in common, both of these singers, Iosif Kabzon and Lev Leschenko, that I will talk a little bit later about, that they went to army and, he was singing there, so he got invited or ordered to go and sing for the local choir. So every, big army division will have their own choir to perform, and they notice, hey, you have a good voice, you'll be better to singing instead of, shooting AK-47. So he was singing in the choir, then he got help and got pushed through, and he got accepted to Odesskaya Conservatoria. So here you go. So one of the names for the colleges, music colleges, would be Conservatoria. Conservatory, I guess. So there was one in Odessa, and that's where he got his own degree in music to become a singer. He has a really strong voice, very powerful one, and his famous songs, Журавли, Cranes, Я люблю тебя, жизнь, I love you, my life, or I love life. That one's kind of patriotic song. Then Smuglyanka, it's like a dark-skinned girl. That was mega popular because they were kind of singing about World War II and partisans. And interesting, one of his most famous songs is Mgновения, so that's from the movie 17 Moments of Springs that we talked a couple videos ago. But the interesting part, when the lady who was filming the movie, she asked Kabzon to sing this song, but don't sing it as Kabzon style. And he got kind of butthurt about it, got upset. So basically he was told, don't sing it in your style. I don't want people to recognize that it's you singing. So he had the specific ways, he will pull the notes, I guess. So in that song, it's hard to recognize. Like, he definitely performed that song totally different from his own. But so he didn't like the idea, but that song is a great song, and he became very popular. He also got the highest awards from the Soviet Union. In 1976, he got a cash award premia from Komsomol for performing great work and promoting Soviet songs, which means propaganda songs, patriotic songs. He got 2,000 rubles, huge money at that time. And then in 1984, he got a state, Soviet state, so Государственная премия СССР, so USSR state cash award, and it's 5,000 rubles, so huge money. And the highest was the Leninskaya premia, so Lenin cash award, that was 10,000 rubles. He got a bunch of medals. People's Artist of Soviet Union in 1987. And small detail, after Soviet Union collapsed, somehow he got involved with the criminal activities because he's the person non grata for the United States. He tried many times, but the United States always refuses to issue him a visa. So this famous guy can't visit USA because alleged connections with criminal world in Russia. So this is Iosif Kabzon. This is the guy. He still performs. He's still favorite singer in Russia. He got a bunch of awards in modern Russia. And he is like strong anti-Ukrainian person. So he is now person non grata in Ukraine too. Like, he still performs. He kind of looks really silly because it looks like his face all injected with Botox, and he has like a fake wig on his head. Looks pretty rough, but yep, Iosif Kabzon. This is the Soviet Union favorite singer performer because he performed so many so-called patriotic songs. All right, and the last guy I want to talk today about is Lev Leschenko. And that was funny because when we showed him a little bit in the previous video, a bunch of several viewers commented, "Hey, is that a Trololo guy?" And I honestly had no idea what they're talking about. But apparently Lev Leschenko, the way he's singing and the way he looks, he really looks like that other person that became a world meme. But anyways, Lev Leschenko, born in 1942. He went through the same route as Iosif Kabzon after serving in the army, which was 2 years. During his service in the army, they noticed his voice, and they like strong, powerful voices in the army. So he was sent to the Ensemble Песни и Пляски, which is an assembly of dancing and singing. And from there he started his career. He was hardcore about patriotic songs. Like, a lot of songs that he performed was for the glory of the Soviet Union. He became the People's Artist of Russia Federation in 1983. He had cash award from Lenin Komsomol in 1978 for propaganda of Soviet songs. after Olympics in 1980, he performed the song Goodbye Moscow, the song that got played first time during the closure, official closing on Olympics in 1980 in Moscow. It's a great show, and this big giant bear was flying away on the balloons. He performed that song. I remember I was actually having tears watching it, and he got a big, like really high award, Orden Druzhby Narodov, so the People's Friendship Award. He, as I mentioned, he had a lot of patriotic songs. So it looks like if you go through army, you kind of become very patriotic singer. One of his songs, День Победы, the Day of Victory, which was written for the 30 years of victory in World War II, or we call it Great Patriotic War. So 30 years from 1945, so that was 1975. Then the song Love, Комсомол and Spring, Любовь, Комсомол и Весна, Соловьиная роща. So it's some kind of patch of woods where the birds live. И родительский дом, the house where your parents live. So those songs were quite popular, but as I said, he was leaning heavy into patriotic singing, and I guess because of his powerful voice, that's what kind of was preferred. If you sing patriotic song, your voice better be strong and powerful. So a good singer. I said I wasn't never a big fan of him, but До свидания, Москва, Goodbye Moscow, that song is really sad and really good. I like that a lot. And he, together with Anna German, that we just talked about, he performed song The Echo of Love, Эхо любви, which was pretty nice and mellow. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. As always, don't forget to like the video, share with your friends, share on social media. We will touch a little bit underground stuff like Vladimir Vysotsky and other performers that you could hear on people cassette players. You could hear them playing on the guitars, but you could never hear it on the radio or see on TV. We'll talk to you later. Goodbye.